Welcome back to my channel. Today's we explore the value of specifically coins, the top 6 most valuable wheat penny coin value in today's market in dollar. So let's get started. First up, the 1909 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin marked a significant milestone in American numismatics. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person, Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse. Before 1909, U.S. coins typically carried allegorical figures or symbolic images. But the Lincoln cent, introduced in the 100th year after Lincoln's birth, changed that tradition permanently. The 1909 penny came in several varieties, and one of the most common is the version minted in Philadelphia, which has no mint mark. While it's not the rarest variant of the 1909 penny, it's still highly collectible and valuable, particularly because of its historical significance as the first year of the Lincoln cent series. Now, when we talk about coin values, it's important to understand how condition, rarity, and demand all play a role in pricing. Most coins are found in circulated condition, meaning they've been used in daily transactions over the years. These coins often show signs of wear, grime, or tarnish, sometimes referred to by collectors as being in dirty or normal circulated condition. These are the types of coins most people will encounter in an old jar, a family collection, or a flea market. So, how much is a 1909 wheat penny without a mint mark worth today if it's in a normal circulated condition? To answer that, we need to look at the market value for coins in what collectors call good to very fine condition. These are coins that show significant signs of wear but are still identifiable, with visible details and a readable date. The 1909 no mint mark wheat penny had a mintage of over 72 million pieces. That's a large number, which means the coin is not especially rare in circulated condition. However, the year 1909 is significant because it marked the beginning of a new era in coin design, and that always draws the attention of collectors. As of today, a 1909 wheat penny without a mint mark in average circulated condition typically sells for between $1 and $3. The lower end of that range is for coins in the most worn condition, where fine details are heavily faded and dirt or oxidation might be present. On the higher end, if the coin retains sharper features and less discoloration, it might approach $3 or slightly more. Keep in mind, these values can fluctuate based on collector demand, silver or copper prices, and overall market trends. The 1909 penny is made of 95% copper, which can give it a bit of intrinsic value, but that's not what drives its price. Its real value lies in its collectability, age, and historical context. Now, you may have heard stories about 1909 wheat pennies selling for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. While those stories are technically true, they usually refer to rare variants, like the 1909 SVDB penny. That version was minted in San Francisco and features the designer Victor David Brenner's initials on the reverse. Only around 484,000 of those coins were produced, making them extremely rare and highly valuable in any condition. But the 1909 Philadelphia penny without the VDB initials and without a mint mark is much more common, especially in circulated grades. That doesn't mean it's not worth keeping or collecting. Quite the opposite. Any 1909 penny is a piece of American history and a cornerstone for anyone trying to build a complete Lincoln cent collection. If you happen to have one of these coins in a collection or in a drawer somewhere, it's still worth examining closely. Even a small difference in condition can raise the value slightly. For instance, a coin with less grime, clearer lettering, or stronger details might bring in more than the average $2. Coins that are lightly circulated or have better eye appeal can sometimes be valued up to $5 or even $10, especially if a collector is looking for a clean example of the first-year issue. Another aspect to consider is how the coin is presented. If it's been cleaned improperly or scratched, it could lose value. Collectors generally prefer coins in their original, unaltered state, even if they're a bit dirty. Cleaning a coin might seem like a good idea, but it can damage the surface and reduce its worth. So if you find a 1909 wheat penny in a dirty condition, the best course of action is to leave it as it is and consult a coin dealer or grading service if you want a professional opinion. Also worth noting is that coin collecting continues to grow as a hobby, and that interest helps keep the market strong for coins like the 1909 penny. Prices might rise over time, especially as coins in decent condition become harder to find in circulation. So even though the value of a dirty, circulated 1909 wheat penny may seem modest today, between $1 and $3, it's still a collectible with long-term appeal. In conclusion, the 1909 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is not among the rarest coins out there, but its value goes beyond just money. It represents a key moment in U.S. coin history. It's the start of the most collected coin series in the world, and it still holds value even in the most common, worn condition. If you have one, it's a small piece of history. And in today's market, even a dirty or circulated example could be worth a couple of dollars or more. Next up, the 1950 S penny holds a special place for collectors. While it might not be the rarest or most expensive coin in the series, it's still a piece that garners interest, particularly because of its age and historical context. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the 1950 wheat penny minted in San Francisco, what makes it worth collecting, and what its value is today, especially if you have one in a typical circulated or dirty condition. Let's begin with some background. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It remained in production with the wheat reverse design until 1958, when the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial. That means the 1950 penny falls within the later years of the wheat centy series. The San Francisco Mint produced over 118 million wheat pennies in 1950. That's not a particularly low mintage, especially when compared to earlier coins like the 1909S or 1931S. So right away, we know that the 1950 S penny is not a rare coin in terms of how many were made. However, that doesn't mean it has no value, especially if you consider the growing interest in coin collecting and how few of these coins remain in good shape today. Most of the 1950 SC pennies that exist now are found in circulated condition. That means they were used in everyday transactions, passed through countless hands, and over time picked up dirt, wear, and other signs of age. This is what people often refer to when they say a coin is in dirty or normal used condition. These coins typically show flattening on Lincoln's face and hair, loss of detail in the wheat stalks on the reverse, and general discoloration or oxidation. So, what is a 1950 S wheat penny in this kind of circulated condition worth in today's market? On average, if you find a 1950 S penny that has been clearly circulated, with visible wear and signs of age, but with a readable date and mint mark, its value typically ranges between 5 cents and 25 cents. Most often, you'll see these coins priced around 10 to 15 cents if they are moderately worn and dirty but still intact. Coins in the lowest grades, what collectors call good condition, might bring only a nickel. Coins in better circulated condition, like fine or very fine, might edge closer to a quarter. It's important to understand that these values reflect the market for average circulated coins. There's no precious metal in the penny. It's made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. So while it does have some copper value, it's very minimal. What gives the coin value is mostly its collectability and its age. The 1950 S is also a common date among wheat pennies. Because so many were minted, and because people began to realize that wheat pennies might one day be collectible, many of these coins were saved in rolls and bags. As a result, even though the coin is 75 years old, there are still many examples in both circulated and uncirculated condition. That supply keeps the value relatively modest. Still, even a coin worth 10 or 15 cents is worth more than face value. And if you have multiple 1950 S pennies lying around in change jars, old drawers, or inherited collections, it might be worth going through them. You never know, you might have a few that are in better than average condition. Now, what about higher grades? While this video focuses on dirty or circulated examples, it's worth briefly noting that a 1950s penny in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially those graded MS-65 or better, can sell for several dollars, sometimes even over $10, depending on color and quality. But again, most coins found in the wild are nowhere near that level. The vast majority are in worn, circulated shape. Another point to remember is that cleaning a coin to try and make it look better can actually lower its value. Collectors prefer coins in original, untouched condition, even if they're dirty. A cleaned coin often shows scratch marks, an unnatural shine, or chemical damage, which makes it far less appealing to serious buyers. If you have a dirty 1950s penny, it's best to leave it as is. A little dirt doesn't hurt the value. In fact, it's expected. There are no major known errors for the 1950s wheat penny that would dramatically raise its value, but it's always good to check. Look for doubled dies, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks, though these are uncommon. If you think you have something unusual, it could be worth taking to a coin dealer for a closer look. In summary, the 1950s wheat penny is not rare, but it is collectible. In today's market, a dirty or circulated example typically brings anywhere from 5 cents to 25 cents. While that might not seem like much, it's still more than face value, and if you have a number of them, it can add up. Plus, it's a great starting point for anyone getting into coin collecting. The Lincoln Wheat series is rich in history, and every coin tells a story of America's past. So, if you come across a 1950s wheat penny in a drawer, a jar, or your pocket change, don't toss it aside. It might be a small piece of copper, but it also represents a piece of American heritage and a collectible that continues to hold its place in the world of numismatics. Next up, the 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark. We'll explore its background, what makes it collectible, and how much it's worth today in good, circulated condition. The 1948 wheat penny comes from the post-World War II era, a time when the United States was going through significant social and economic change. The Lincoln cent was already a familiar coin to Americans by then, having been first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the wheat penny remained in production until 1958, when the reverse design was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial. In 1948, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 317 million Lincoln wheat pennies. Because the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on cents at the time, the coin has no letter under the date. That means the 1948 penny without a mint mark was made in Philadelphia, and with a mintage that high, it's not considered rare. However, age, historical context, and condition still make it an interesting coin to collect. Now, when we talk about a coin's condition, we're usually referring to its grade. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with various stops in between, such as good, fine, very fine, and extremely fine. In this video, we're focusing specifically on coins in good condition. This means the coin has been in circulation and shows noticeable wear. Lincoln's face and jacket will still be visible but lack sharp detail. The wheat ears on the reverse will also show heavy wear, and parts of the design might be flat or faded. So, how much is a 1948 wheat penny without a mint mark worth in good condition in today's market? Generally speaking, a circulated 1948 penny in good condition is worth around 3 to 5 cents. While that may not sound like much, it's still more than face value. The coin is made primarily of copper, about 95%, which does give it a small amount of intrinsic value. But in truth, the copper content is not what drives its price. What really matters to collectors is the coin's historical significance, age, and condition. A lot of people come across these coins in old jars, drawers, or inherited collections, and wonder if they've struck gold? The answer depends on a few things. In the case of the 1948 penny with no mint mark, you're unlikely to have a high-value coin unless it's in uncirculated or mint condition. Still, even a low-value coin has its place in a collection, especially for those trying to assemble a complete set of Lincoln wheat pennies from every year and mint. Let's talk briefly about the difference condition can make. While a 1948 penny in good condition might only bring 3 to 5 cents, the same coin in uncirculated condition, what collectors refer to as mint state, could be worth $1 to $5 or more. If it has strong luster and no damage, the value can go even higher, particularly if graded by a professional service. But in most cases, people are looking at well-worn examples. These are coins that have been used for years, picked up dirt, gone through pockets, cash registers, and banks, and are now a little piece of history. These coins might not have high monetary value, but they're still worth saving, especially for beginners who want to learn the basics of collecting without spending much money. It's also important to mention that coin cleaning is not recommended. Many people think cleaning a coin will make it look better and therefore more valuable. But collectors actually prefer coins in original, untouched condition, even if they're dirty or worn. Cleaning a coin can scratch the surface, remove natural toning, or leave behind residue, all of which can reduce the coin's value. If you find a 1948 penny that looks dirty, leave it as is. It's better to preserve its originality than to risk damaging it with cleaning products or abrasives. While there are no widely known mint errors for the 1948 no mint mark penny that would dramatically increase its value, collectors still keep an eye out for minor variations, such as die cracks or off-center strikes. These kinds of errors, if confirmed, can bring in extra value depending on their severity and visibility. If you think you have an unusual coin, it may be worth getting it looked at by a local coin dealer or submitting it for professional grading. So, is a 1948 penny without a mint mark in good condition worth keeping? The answer is yes, especially if you're building a set of wheat pennies or simply enjoy collecting coins from different decades. While its market value may be low, usually just a few cents, it has more than just monetary worth. It's a piece of American history from the post-war era, and every coin tells a story. Plus, older coins like this are slowly disappearing from circulation, so even common dates are becoming harder to find as time goes on. If you're lucky enough to have a bunch of 1948 pennies stored away, they may not make you rich, but they could form the foundation of a fun and educational collection. And who knows? Going through them might even spark an interest in coin collecting that lasts a lifetime. Next up, the 1949 wheat penny with the S mint mark, which means it was minted in San Francisco. While it's not considered one of the rarest coins in the Lincoln cent series, it's still a valuable piece of American numismatic history. We'll cover the background of the coin, how to identify it, and, most importantly, how much a 1949 S penny in good, circulated condition is worth in today's market. The Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most collected coins in the world. It was introduced in 1909 and remained in production, with the wheat reverse design until 1958. These pennies are known not just for their design but for their connection to American history. Abraham Lincoln was the first real person to appear on a U.S. coin, and the wheat design symbolizes prosperity and unity, an appropriate message during the time it was introduced and the decades that followed. By 1949, the country had just emerged from World War II, and the economy was growing rapidly. The San Francisco Mint struck just over 64 million Lincoln wheat pennies that year. Compared to the Philadelphia and Denver mints, the San Francisco mintage was the smallest for 1949, making the 1949 S slightly less common than its counterparts. However, with over 64 million coins produced, it is not considered rare in general. Now let's talk about how to identify this coin. If you look just below the date on the front of the coin, also known as the obverse, you will see a small S mint mark. This indicates that the coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint. If there is no letter under the date, the coin was minted in Philadelphia. If there's a D, it came from Denver. But in this case, we're focusing on the one with the S mint mark. Most 1949 S wheat pennies found today are in circulated condition. That means they were used in everyday transactions, passed through pockets, cash registers, and wallets over the decades. Coins in this state show signs of wear. For a coin to be in good condition by numismatic standards, it generally means the design is still visible, but much of the detail has been worn down. Lincoln's profile will be flat, and the wheat stalks on the reverse will be worn. But the date and mint mark will still be legible. So, what is a 1949 S wheat penny in good, circulated condition worth in today's market? Currently, the value of a 1949 S wheat penny in good condition is around 5 to 10 cents. While this is above face value, it's not a high price, simply because the coin is relatively common and has been widely collected for decades. Many collectors and even non-collectors saved these pennies when they were still in circulation, which means there's still a healthy supply of them out there. The exact price you might get for your coin depends on a few factors. One is eye appeal. Even in lower grades, a coin that has even color, no corrosion, and no major damage might sell closer to the higher end of that range. On the other hand, if the coin is heavily worn, discolored, or scratched, it may only be worth around 5 cents. It's worth mentioning that higher grades bring significantly more value. A 1949 S wheat penny in uncirculated condition, referred to as mint state, can sell for a few dollars, and even higher if it's been professionally graded and certified. Some mint state examples have sold for over $10 or even $20, especially if they have red coloring, full details, and no signs of wear. However, most of the coins people find in old jars, drawers, or inherited collections are circulated. These coins might look dirty or dull, and that's completely normal. One thing to keep in mind is that cleaning a coin to try to improve its appearance is not recommended. In fact, cleaning a coin almost always lowers its value. Collectors prefer coins in original, unaltered condition, even if they're worn or dirty. Also, while the 1949 S penny doesn't have any major or widely known mint errors, it's always worth inspecting your coins carefully. Small errors like die cracks, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes can sometimes be found, and they might increase the coin's value slightly, depending on their rarity and visibility. If you think you have a coin with an error, it might be worth taking it to a coin dealer for evaluation or submitting it to a professional grading service. You might be wondering if it's worth holding on to a 1949 S penny that's only worth a few cents. The answer really depends on your goals. If you're collecting for fun or trying to build a complete set of Lincoln wheat pennies, then this coin definitely belongs in your collection. Its modest value doesn't take away from its historical importance. Every coin tells a story, and this one reflects a time in American history when the country was rebuilding and growing after the challenges of the 1930s and 1940s. Another reason to keep coins like this is that, over time, even common coins can become more scarce, especially in better condition. While it's unlikely the 1949 S penny will suddenly become extremely valuable, its price could gradually increase, especially as interest in coin collecting grows and fewer coins survive in decent shape. In summary, the 1949 S wheat penny is a common but still collectible coin. In good circulated condition, it's typically worth between 5 and 10 cents. It's not going to break the bank, but it's a fun and affordable piece of history. If you come across one in your change, a jar, or a relative's collection, hang on to it. It may be the beginning of a fascinating journey into coin collecting, or simply a small reminder of a different time in American life. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark. While it's a common date in the Lincoln cent series, many people still wonder whether it has any real value, especially if the coin is in poor condition. So today, we're focusing specifically on the value of a 1944 wheat penny that's not only heavily circulated, but also extra dirty and possibly damaged. We'll look at what affects its value, what collectors look for, and what you can realistically expect if you find one in your possession today. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln wheat penny was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and it became one of the most iconic coins in American coinage history. The wheat reverse design remained in place until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. The 1944 penny was struck during a pivotal time in American history. World War II was nearing its end, and the U.S. Mint resumed the use of copper for penny production after experimenting with steel cents in 1943. The steel cents from the previous year were designed to save copper for the war effort. But in 1944, copper was brought back into circulation. Interestingly, much of the copper used in 1944 cents came from recycled wartime shell casings. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.4 billion Lincoln cents in 1944, which makes the 1944 penny without a mint mark one of the most common coins in the entire wheat penny series. Because of this extremely high mintage, the coin is not considered rare by any standard. Even today, millions of these coins exist in circulation, coin collections, and old change jars. Now let's address the condition. If your 1944 wheat penny is extra dirty and damaged, it's likely been through many decades of circulation and exposure to wear, moisture, handling, and environmental conditions. These coins typically show significant surface wear, faded or flattened details, and often exhibit stains, corrosion, scratches, or even nicks and gouges. Sometimes the damage may include bent edges, holes, or chemical discoloration. In coin grading terms, these would fall into the low-grade category, often below good, G4, or even at the poor level. So, the big question is, what is a 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark worth today in extra dirty and damaged condition? In today's market, the value of this coin in that kind of condition is typically 1 to 2 cents. In many cases, it's worth no more than face value. Dealers generally do not buy coins in this condition individually, and collectors looking to complete a wheat cent collection will usually seek coins in at least decent or collectible condition. Severely damaged or heavily worn examples have little to no collector demand unless they have a rare mint error or unusual feature. While copper does have some intrinsic value, the copper in a single penny is worth only about 2 to 3 cents, depending on market prices. However, it is illegal to melt U.S. 1-cent coins for their metal content, so this doesn't provide any real opportunity to profit from scrap value. The only way a 1944 penny becomes valuable is through its collectability, and damaged coins generally fall short in that area. Now, some viewers might wonder if they should try cleaning a dirty or stained coin to improve its appearance. The simple answer is no. Cleaning a coin almost always reduces its value, not increases it. Even when a coin is already in poor shape, cleaning can make things worse by scratching the surface, removing natural toning, or leaving residue behind. Collectors prefer coins that are in original, unaltered condition, even if they are worn or dirty. So if you have a 1944 penny that's extra dirty or damaged, the best thing to do is leave it as is. It's also worth noting that the vast majority of 1944 wheat pennies are copper, but there are a few extremely rare examples that were accidentally struck in steel. These are not marked differently, but they will appear grayish in color and will stick to a magnet. If you happen to have a 1944 penny that looks silver or gray and is magnetic, it could be one of the rare error coins. In that case, it would be worth significantly more, potentially thousands of dollars. But keep in mind that these are extremely rare and unlikely to be found in damaged condition. If your 1944 penny is damaged but still looks like a typical copper coin, then its value remains in the 1 to 2 cent range. In bulk, some coin dealers or collectors might purchase large quantities of damaged wheat pennies for a small premium, often by the pound. But individual examples in poor condition generally don't sell for much. Despite the low value, the 1944 wheat penny remains a piece of American history. For many people, finding one is their first step into coin collecting. While your heavily circulated or damaged coin may not be worth selling, it still has educational and sentimental value. It's a tangible connection to the past, a coin that may have passed through hundreds of hands over 80 years. In summary, the 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark is a very common coin. When it's in extra dirty and damaged condition, it typically holds a value of just 1 to 2 cents in today's market. There's no real collectible demand for coins in that condition, and it's unlikely to increase in value over time unless it has a rare error. However, it remains a meaningful part of American coinage and is still worth keeping if you enjoy the history behind it. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark. This coin is commonly found, widely recognized, and often sparks curiosity from people who discover one in old jars, drawers, or inherited coin collections. Today, we'll explore the coin's background, discuss why some examples appear in a darker or black color shade, and explain what a 1944 wheat penny is worth in today's market when it's in that kind of condition. Let's begin with a bit of history. The Lincoln wheat penny was first introduced in 1909 and remained in production with the wheat reverse design until 1958. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, President Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse, and it quickly became one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. By 1944, the United States was still involved in World War II, though the war was beginning to wind down. The previous year, in 1943, the U.S. Mint produced steel cents coated in zinc to conserve copper for the war effort. These 1943 steel cents were only made for 1 year. In 1944, copper returned to penny production, and the mint used recycled ammunition shell casings to strike these coins, giving the 1944 cent a slightly different composition than pre-war issues. The 1944 wheat penny, without a mint mark, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That year, Philadelphia produced over 1.4 billion pennies, making it one of the highest mintage U.S. coins ever produced. Because of that, the 1944 no mint mark wheat penny is not rare. However, condition, color, and specific collector demand can still influence its value. Now let's talk about color, specifically the black or dark-toned shade that many of these coins develop over time. A normal copper penny should appear reddish-brown or deep brown depending on its condition and how it has been stored. When a penny turns black or very dark brown, it usually means the coin has undergone natural oxidation, chemical exposure, or environmental aging. This can happen when the coin has been stored in humid areas, exposed to water, buried in soil, or handled frequently over time. It doesn't necessarily mean the coin is damaged beyond recognition, but it does indicate heavy circulation or environmental effects. In coin grading, color is one of several factors that determine a coin's market value. Collectors often look for coins with original color and minimal wear. Red, lustrous, uncirculated coins are the most desirable. Brown coins are still collectible, depending on condition. But when a coin turns very dark or black, it usually lowers its market appeal, unless the coin is rare or has a known error. So what is a 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark worth today if it's in a normal black or very dark condition? In today's market, a circulated 1944 wheat penny with a black tone and average wear is generally worth 2 to 4 cents. While that's not a significant amount, it is still more than face value. A A dark tone alone doesn't make the coin rare or especially valuable, but it doesn't make it worthless either. Collectors who are just starting out, or those building affordable sets, often buy coins in this condition to fill gaps in their collections. If your coin is structurally sound, with readable date and details, no holes, and no major corrosion, then it can still be traded or sold in bulk with other similar wheat pennies. Coin dealers sometimes buy wheat cents by the roll or by the pound, and darker coins are usually included in those lots. However, most individual coins in dark condition are not resold one by one unless there is something unique about them. It's worth noting that color alone won't make a 1944 penny valuable. What would make it valuable is if it were one of the rare 1944 steel cents, which are known errors. These are not copper at all. They appear silver gray and will stick to a magnet. If you happen to have a 1944 penny that looks dark but is magnetic, it's worth a closer look, because authentic 1944 steel cents have sold for thousands of dollars. But those are extremely rare, and most 1944 pennies are standard copper. Many people also wonder whether cleaning a dark penny will increase its value. The short answer is no. Cleaning a coin almost always reduces its value, even if the coin looks better afterward. Scratches, unnatural shine, and surface damage caused by cleaning are easily noticeable to experienced collectors. It's best to leave your coin in its natural state, even if it appears darker than normal. So, to sum it up, a 1944 wheat penny without a mint mark in normal black or dark brown color, with average circulation wear, is generally worth between 2 and 4 cents in today's market. That value can go slightly higher if the coin is in better shape, but color and heavy circulation do limit its desirability among serious collectors. Still, it's a fascinating piece of American history, struck at the end of World War II and made from recycled wartime materials. Even though these coins are common and often not worth much individually, they are still important for collectors, especially those who enjoy building complete sets of Lincoln wheat cents. The darker color tells a story of time and circulation, and adds a level of authenticity that some collectors appreciate. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you, and next time, happy collecting!